A calm connection as in where the horse feels good. As you can see, this horse is calmly connected to me. So the idea is over the space of the weekend, I'd like to see this horse not feel that it has to be on guard so much. So you can see it's on guard. But I'm not going to bother so much. Excuse me, can you back up out of the way, because I'm trying to talk to everyone. So I'm just going to back this horse over here. So I'm not going to really bother too much at the moment about this horse's anxiety. I could gain its focus, get its attention quite quickly, but for the moment I'm just going to stand here quite calm. Now the idea is a calm connection is something I want our horses to feel good about operating around us and with us. Okay, so it's not just about going out and scratching your horses, though all those things add, if you take a holistic approach to your horses, to get along with them, you've got to give them good feeling. Okay, so going out and finding the scratchy spots and all that's all going to be a beneficial thing. But I see a lot of people that are really good at scratching their horses, but as soon as their horses start to operate, the tension rises and the horse is having troubles. Okay, so over this clinic, I'd like to think that I could just get you guys to operate your horses in a way that makes your horses feel better and want to be around you more. Okay, because if the horse wants to be around you more, then what's going to happen is it's going to take its guard and gently lower it so you can be on guard. Because what I work on the principle that, okay, we take a horse from the paddock, we replace it with the herd that we took it away from. Okay, if we can't replace the horse with the herd that we took it away from, then what's going to happen is that horse is going to be anxious and on guard all the time. So being centered is going to be one of the most important things that you can do. Okay, so one of the things that people do around their horses is they become a little bit dithery, and they sort of overmanage everything, but they never quite make a change. And what I mean by a change is the change of what that horse is thinking. Okay, so if that horse gets a bee in its bonnet, we sort of control it, but we don't control it enough to make that horse think about something different. All right, so and you notice I will talk about bubble over the weekend, and our bubble and our operating bubble, but for this horse at the moment I don't mind it standing here as long as it's not shoving and pushing me, because this horse has to come and feel that I'm okay. So I'm not going to say stand out there, be obedient right now. I'm going to say just enjoy my company, but just stay a little bit focused, because every time that horse loses focus, what happens? It starts to fidget, it starts to move, it starts to seek, its feet start to trying to get to where it's thinking, isn't it? And that's what horses do. So if we can't keep a bit of their focus, then obviously their feet are going to be going everywhere like that horse's was, and it's going to paw the ground. The reason it's pawing the ground is because maybe it wants to be over there and it feels that I'm keeping it here, yeah? But if we keep anxiety in our horses with the way we train, what's going to happen is the anxiety is going to keep that horse wanting to be elsewhere because we're making it anxious. And that's the crux. And when I started doing clinics and stuff like that, what I started to learn was the people who made their horses anxious with education generally had separated horses, and horses that had more separation anxiety. The people that managed to calm their horses in education, not just scratching their bottoms, when their horses start operating. When they could calm their horses while they're operating and make them feel okay, those horses came down a lot better and they became a lot more connected, okay? Have I moved? Have I fidgeted? Have I fussed? Okay, the horse is doing most of the fussing, not me. Because if I want to make this horse calm, I have to be, like I imagine, and I want you, this is probably the best way, because I don't do yoga courses and all that sort of thing, I can't sort of teach you how to Yoda and sit out there and meditate every day to become better with your horses, because I haven't done a degree in that. Okay, not that you do a degree in yoga, you go and learn off some Yoda and you do it. But what I will say to help you is, this helps me, and I found it's an easy sort of like a muggle's way of teaching people how to be centered, is just become a big tree like that. See that tree there? That's like a tree there's been around, like it looks like it's been there since the dinosaur days, but it hasn't. But it's been there for a long time. It won't be shifted. It's sheltered a lot of animals over the years, and it's probably not going to get washed out in a flood like a big river gum that sort of the floods, 1,000 floods go through, but they never get washed away. That's what I try and imagine that I am. If I'm a rock, I'm a bit cold and hard, but if I'm a tree, I'm just as solid, except I provide a bit more shelter, okay? And I want that horse to feel a little bit better under me or around me. So the reason people don't become trees is because they're doing this all the time, okay? They're moving, they're fidgeting, they're not centered, and a lot of times a horse, you can stand there for 10 minutes and just be centered, and that horse will just come down and you didn't have to do anything. Once upon a time I used to try and teach people to do stuff to get change, and Jackie would remember the old days when I did clinics. I was busy trying to teach people to do stuff to get change. I still had the same principles, but now I sometimes say just stand and become a little bit more centered in yourself, because the biggest thing I was missing was getting people to center, okay? So the next thing we're going to go, so that's one big thing I want you to always hone in on in yourselves. So you've got to sort of take away all your mind, or everything that you're thinking about that's outside you and your horse, and just leave it. That's why you come away on a holiday to do stuff like this, so you can leave all the other stuff behind. Okay, so if you've got sort of turmoil in your lives, just forget about it for 3 days. You can worry about it tonight when you check your emails and stuff or whatever, but if you don't want to check your phone, I'd rather you don't, because that's why people travel away. And I'd rather a clinic where everyone comes and camps than actually drives home each day, because those clinics, people gain so much more because they let go of other stuff just for a weekend, but it's enough for them to learn. So what I'm going to work on, why we do groundwork, is this is one reason. This is groundwork. Okay, you just get up and ride your horse and you can't be centered on the ground. You're not going to have a centered horse. Now see, if he rubbed me, I'll correct it, because I don't want him to shove me out like that, because I'm not a big, when they shove like that, that's a sort of a thing that I wouldn't allow. But if they just hang their head in there and soften, that's good. Okay, but I couldn't allow him to focus everywhere for that. Okay, so now what I want to talk about, what we're going to sort of go through over the clinic, and some ideas, and see him letting it all down a little bit more now, yawns and stuff like that. That's because I'm on guard. I'm centered. I'm not on guard like, oh Christ, we're going to die, because he'd be like, oh crikey, I better get up, and the lead horse is saying we've got to go somewhere, there's things happening. But I'm just that the horse is standing up going, and he's the one that can sit down if he wanted to. Yeah. So when we operate our horses, how do we operate them without worrying them? Because it's okay to get this right and go, good, I can stand with my horse and rub it and make it calm, but how do I get its feet moving without making it anxious? Because energy has been the big thing. It's been the big crux in horsemanship. Energy's been the one that people have got, raised the energy, but they've raised the disconnection with their horses. And why is that? And for a long time I started to try and work out, why is it? And one thing that I learned a long time ago is we push our horses away, and that was not my words, it was in a Mark Rashid book, but it was those words that helped me align myself in a way that said, I believe in what I'm thinking, because someone else obviously believes the same thing, and I'm going to stick to my guns because I think it's important. And also when I was doing a lot of wild horses, if they didn't like me, and what I found is energy separated them anyway. So what the words were, if you push your horse away, they'll soon know where you want them. Okay? Now, how many times in groundwork especially do we push our horses away? Has anyone sort of seen or been at clinics? What are you doing? You create energy. What do you do when you create energy? Are you making that horse move away from energy a lot? And there is a lot of it out there where we create energy. See, that creates energy. Why does it create energy? Because it created tension, okay? It also created focus, it did lots of things, but what we do with it is going to be how our horses operate better, all right? So if we get a horse to move away from energy, we create a disconnection every time we put the accelerator down, okay? More moving away from energy, more disconnection, because if you ramp up the energy, you're ramping up the bad feeling in the horse. Because have you ever learned this? If you ask your horse to go this way and it doesn't, you do that. Yeah? Has anyone learned that before? So just think about that for a second, because it's almost like you turn the steering wheel and then you put the accelerator on regardless of where the steering wheel is or where the wheels are turned. All right? So also, just remember this also, is when you create energy, if I want a horse to think out there and go out there, am I making it think back here and go out there? Would you say that? Would you say this horse has got its primary focus on the flag and on the energy, and it's moving its feet out there? Now, would you ride a horse like that? Would you say, think over there, go over there? Because 90% of horses I come across, you go left, they think right. You go right, they think left, regardless of which way their feet are going. It's because they're disconnected. Okay, they're not connected with the reins. They're not connected with the direction. Now, alpha horses push each other around. Yes, we've learnt that. Okay, go and watch your horses in the paddock for 24 hours and count how many minutes they do it in 24 hours. And then add up all the hours and work out the percentage, okay, of how much your horses actually really push each other around and really just do other things, the other good things that they do. So when we learn in horsemanship, we have to be the alpha by moving the other horse's feet, moving them away. What happens is, for 90% of the groundwork time, we push our horses away. Maybe 10% we scratch them, but I'm talking about when we're operating, not just feeding our horses, just operating them, okay? You got a spider on your mark. It's not a big bad one. And just be aware of your peripheral vision too. You've got to be a bit aware of things around you, more so what your horse is doing, not spiders on other people. So think about it like this, I forgot what I was on now.
90% of the time.
90% of the time, in groundwork, we can push our horses away, can't we? So, and it wasn't until I started doing clinics that it dawned on me, because I only ever worked horses that were sort of green or troubled, but I didn't watch the other people work on their horses because they'd send me the horse. So what had happened is I'd watch people work on their horses, and there was a certain thing that correlated. Is horses that were pushed away a lot felt bad, right? Horses that went away from focus felt bad. They were nappy, they were sour, they swished their tail more, they were stiff, they were going a little bit like a door opposed to a horse. And it started to really make me believe that the one thing that we're doing wrong is pushing our horses away from us. But we're taught to push away by 90% of horsemanship because that's how alpha horses work. But how much does it really happen? Okay, maybe when you put a bunch of new horses together, it happens very quickly. It's all over and done with, and there's a little bit around feed. And then there's angry horses out there. Has everyone seen the angry horse that goes and takes all the hay? Do you want to be that horse? You don't want to be the angry horse, do you? You don't, because that one doesn't really. The horses don't trust it. So, how do you operate your horses? One, don't let them push you around. Right, that's one way to think of it, but don't push them around all the time. The other thing is I had a brain freeze. So yeah, you're not being the alpha horse. So you when you set a boundary, but you don't bring boundaries to them. That's the other way of explaining it. So if that fence, the horse wouldn't be cranky with that fence, but that fence kept moving, the horse would start to be upset about it, wouldn't it? Okay, so the horses that other horses don't like are the ones that push their boundaries all the time, pushing out to another horse's thing to push them over there so they can have that hay or whatever, and they're the ones that sort of go around nappy and cranky. Okay, so you want to be the horse that says, this is my hay, and a horse can walk right past there to get another bit of hay, and you're fine with that, because I watch our horse. Sorry, a bit close. I watch our horses, and they can walk past each other. It's only if that horse wanted to steal its hay that they go no. But it wouldn't bother if that horse was walking over there, because it knew that horse wasn't going to go for its hay. That's clear, and that's clarity, and that makes that horse feel good, and all the horses around it, because it's clear. You're not constantly at them. So yeah, so throughout the clinic I want to teach you guys how to operate your horses a little bit better. So I do a lot of operation through feel, because we can over body language our horses when we're trying to teach them feel. Why? It's not because I'm against liberty or body language or anything like that. I use a lot of body language. I've just used 15 minutes of body language just there. That's body language, okay? See, that horse is coping better with it. See that sort of stuff like that? It's sort of coping better. And that's what we want. See, it's starting to rest over there. That's good. It's not needing me here so close, but I'm still very present, okay? So we over body language our horses sometimes. So our horses are watching things, but we override it with feel. And I'm going to show you that rein thing again. So I'm going to say to my horse, I would like you to go over there. And then if the horse doesn't understand that, we sort of step in and send it out, yeah? And then when your horse sends out sort of lightly, you go, oh look, the horse is operating really light on feel. And I go, no it's not. It's operating on the memory of what it saw. It's got nothing to do with the feel of the rope at all. So you may as well cut the rope off. Because it is not the feel of the rope that's guiding that horse's thoughts out there to guide its feet out there. It's the memory of the pressure that it didn't like that sent it out there when you said you don't understand. And also remember this, when you guide a horse out there with feel, okay, that you want it to understand how to think out there and then go out there, yeah? See, it's starting to look out there? That's how you get a horse to steer. You don't get it to steer by looking back over here. Did you see his horse's eyes roll back to what I was looking at? Yeah, exactly. So when we operate horses, we've got to be careful that we're not sort of taking them off balance all the time because of the way we're guiding them. Alright? And remember, when you push them away and keep doing it, they'll feel pretty ordinary. The more ordinary they feel, the more tension they carry, the more disconnection you have under pressure, all the other things come out, yeah? So, if I was going to teach my horse to operate with feel, I'd say feel, feel, thank you. And then I'd teach it to track along a little bit better there and just stay with that feel a little bit, yeah? And yeah, I know it's counterbent and looking to the outside, but the more I make it feel rubbish from the inside, the more it's going to be searching to the outside, because when a horse runs away from something undesirable, okay, which pressure, if we ramp up the pressure, becomes undesirable, then what happens is the horse will have more reason to seek sanctuary elsewhere, because you're not the herd, you push it away from the herd. Okay, and he's going to soon realise, and remember those words I said before, if you push a horse away, they'll soon know where you want them. It may work in the join-up or getting a horse to hook on the first few times, but after a while, if you stick to that sort of stuff, you're going to have a horse that's constantly set, knowing where you want it, and that's away. So it'll stop coming up back to you saying, it'll go, no, I know where you want me, and then you'll chase it again to make it come back, and eventually the horse will just go, well, no, I'm in a big paddock and I've got all my horses. Sorry, doesn't work out here. Okay, so now, good, okay. So if I want this horse to learn how to operate somewhere through the feel of a rein, then I've got to stick to the rein. So I've got to put my guns away, uncock them, and just guide my horses, yeah? So then when the horse gets a little bit better, that time it was still looking at me, but of course it's going to look at me. And a lot of horses that have been operated are going to look at the person all the time. So I want a horse to cast its focus and then realign its focus, not stay focused, go out and then disconnect. Or I don't want it to go focus on me when it goes out and stay focused on me when it goes around. I want it to focus on me when it goes around, but not completely focused, overbent. I want it to focus on the direction of the circle, not otherwise. And now you see a few horses that go around a person focused on the person, not on the direction. So that's one idea. When we stick to our feel, we stick to feel, okay? So we can teach our horses to operate, open up their shoulders nicely, and we stick to feel. We just feel them through here, and we just feel them over here, And we just teach them to follow that until their thoughts go with it. Okay, and then when we want to expand the circle, things like that, there's other ways to do that. When we create energy, we want the energy to just put more speed or energy into the direction of thought, not step away from energy. Okay, because when you put the accelerator on when you're riding your horse, you don't want it to disconnect and run away from the energy, do you? So on the groundwork, you don't make horses run away from energy. You make energy that goes in the exact direction of their intention to start with. It's about guiding their intention, not going away from energy. Energy and direction is separated. So I'll show you what energy is. Ready? Energy without direction. That's better. Coming over here. So what I did then is I created a fair bit of worry in that horse, and it wanted to go away from it, didn't it? So then I said, come towards it. It's just a bit of worry that's making you need to move your feet. Good. Now, so I can create energy, but I don't have to always make the horse run away from it, do I? I can make it go towards it. But the idea, it's not about what way the energy is going, because energy doesn't have a direction, does it? The direction's in the steering wheel. Okay, it's only a good rally driver that uses the accelerator to correct a car, but most people drive with the steering wheel, they steer with the steering wheel, they speed up with the accelerator, and that's how I'd like a horse to be like. Okay, so first group, can you grab your horses?